always up for the challenge.
They believe you don't really beat them, they beat themselves.
This Houston Rockets team has been the best defensive team in the league since All-Star.
When the Rockets play like this, they are clearly the biggest threat.
Houston on fire from three.
They're the reigning champ, so if you're not trying to beat them, then who are you trying to beat?
For Golden State, the only big games come in April, May, and June.
It's playoff time, and the Warriors feel that they are in a good place.
They beat them in their home building in a Game 7. That trumps everything.
All-time leader in playoff threes. Bang!
Houston has the DNA and the belief in themselves.
Everybody was here last year knows it's going to be a battle.
Everything's on the table in terms of just winning a playoff series against that team, no matter what it takes.
We're going to come to play.
Let's run it back, bro. I guess we're going to run it back.
Well, the upcoming schedule is presented by Metro by T-Mobile. Quick turnaround for Golden State to close out the Clippers on Friday night. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, both questionable for Game 1 this afternoon. Here's Steve Kerr.
He's okay. He and Steph both came in this morning to get some treatment, and I haven't even spoken with Rick yet today, so we're upstairs watching film and getting ready, and we'll we'll see how they're doing tomorrow. I mean, I'm not going to make a definitive statement on whether they'll both play, or let's just call it questionable, and there's nothing implied there. It's just they both came in today and got some work, and we'll see how they're doing tomorrow.
Kron, Steve Kerr seems very concerned with this situation, doesn't he? No, not at all. So look, less than 48 hours between rounds 1 and 2 for the Warriors. Are you concerned at all with their health with the Splash Brothers?
I'm more concerned with Klay's situation than I am with Steph, because Steph had came back to the game and he had some moments where he wasn't favoring his ankle. But with Klay, it seems a little bit more severe. As you can see, again, look, that's tough. And he wasn't able to plant off of it, necessarily, and he hobbled off. So it's just something that you have to wait and see.
Yeah, no, I think that the health of these two guys is arguably the most important storyline, even though the series itself is a huge one. Everybody's been anticipating this matchup. But to see both guys potentially hobbled going into this first game with such a quick turnaround, it's going to be interesting to watch.
Easy money sniper. He averaged 42 points a game in the last 4 games against the Clippers. But where else does he need to be elite in this series against the Rockets?
I think defensively is where he could end up being the most valuable player for this Warriors team. In particular, if Klay Thompson is a little bit hobbled in terms of his lateral quickness and foot speed, being able to navigate screens, etc. on the defensive end with a sore ankle. I think Kevin's length, not just around the rim as we see there, but in pick and roll matchups with high hands and activity on the ball, late clock situations. We know the Rockets play at a little bit of a slower pace. Ball doesn't move as much. He can match up with Harden and Chris Paul, and I think that KD will need to be elite defensively in order for the Warriors to win.
I totally agree. He has to be elite defensively, and I think because of his merit and his stature of being a 2-time Finals MVP and the way that he's excelled in this game, one of the faces of the game, he's gonna be able to play a little more physical, with James Harden and be in those spots. So he definitely have to be very efficient in that space.
So we understand KD has to be great on defense as well. Looking at the Rockets, Eric Gordon is known for being a guy that can have an offensive explosion outside of James Harden and Chris Paul, right? Who else on this Rockets roster do you see, particularly on this list, not just with the scoring, but who will have the biggest role and the biggest impact in this series?
I mean, I would circle P.J. Tucker and Clint Capella as 2 names. Like you said, not just because of their scoring, but P.J. Tucker accepts the challenge defensively, and he typically ends up guarding anybody. He could end up on Durant. He could end up on Thompson. He's going to end up switched off on Steph Curry in screen roll. He does a great job on that end. Clint Capella is a guy that normally stays on the floor against the Warriors. Most teams have to take their bigs out when they play against the Warriors, not Houston. Capella can defend. He's active enough to stay out there. Those 2 guys jump out to me as guys that are going to need to have some breakout type nights in order to assist Gordon, Harden and Paul in scoring.
I would have to say, Tucker and Green, I think they're going to have out-of-body performances, going to have out-of-body performances from the perimeter because last season, you seen that they didn't make perimeter shots, during stretches. No Chris Paul. Trevor Ariza was struggling from the field, and, it cost them pretty much the series and the opportunity to go to the finals. But also, Kenneth Faried, I think he's going to be extremely efficient and special. Pick and roll situation, play with high energy with that motor, and keep Bogut, active, and moving around as much as possible.
One of the things we heard Kevin Durant say in round one is our energy wasn't right in certain games against the Clippers. Do you anticipate that being an issue against the Rockets, considering they faced each other in the Western Conference Finals last year?
Absolutely not. I mean, look, everybody's antennas is up. The sense of urgency is there already. The Houston Rockets went straight to San Francisco.
They're there.
They're there already. And you don't think that the Warriors got wind of that? Like, that's a situation where, it's a great opportunity. It's a great environment for basketball. This is what you live for, and they're ready. This will be a heck of a game.
And it varies at times, I think, throughout the series, once the series starts. If the Warriors go out and win today and make it look easy, everybody's human. You have a tendency at that point, these guys can't beat us. And you let off the gas a little bit. All of a sudden, Rockets win game 2. It's 1-1 going to Houston. So that urgency sometimes can vary in the series. But I think showing up today, both teams are going to be at their highest levels.
We got one.
It's interesting you mentioned that gas in the tank because in the previous postseasons, we've known the reigning MVP, James Harden, has had issues with that gas in the tank, maybe to be on full against the Golden State Warriors in the second round. We head out to Oakland next. Check in with Allie LaForce.
And he just took over the game in the first half and set a great tone.
When he gets it going like that, he's one of those guys, like, you just have to hope he misses.
I mean, he's Kevin Durant.
I promise we tried.
We didn't roll over.
Durant turns, fires, count it, and one. Kevin Durant with a hand at his face. Kevin Durant 8 for 12 from the field. He's got 20 points in just over 12 minutes.
Knowing how well K's been playing, trying to get him in spots that he can, take advantage of their defense in certain matchups.
He just carried us, these last couple games of the series. He's the ultimate weapon because there's no defense for Kevin. No matter what anybody does, he can get a good shot.
We had several different coverages for KD, and
it didn't work.
Kevin Durant putting on an offensive clinic, 25 points. Durant does three-pointer. Bang! Kevin Durant's got 36, and the lead balloons to 19. Durant catches, fires, three-pointer, puts it in. Kevin Durant with 44.
Everybody on the team kind of knows how the game is being played and who needs to touch it and what we need to run the offense through. I think everybody has a good feel and an IQ for the game each night.
We put about everybody on him. He's just a great player, and that's why he's Durant.
There's no scheme. It's no it's no nothing that you can do with special people. He's one of them, and he showed it tonight. He put them guys on his shoulders.
Durant, count it, and the foul. It was a masterpiece by Kevin Durant. 38 points in the first half, 50 points for the game.
That was one of the great performances I've ever seen in my life.
Obviously what KD did tonight was unbelievable. He's in a groove right now.
He proved exactly who people think he is, who he think he is himself, and he did it, and you took your hat off to a guy like that.
I scored 50 points, but I missed some good shots tonight. I feel like I could have made a few more, but I felt great. I felt great. It was a fun game for sure.
State Warriors will host the Houston Rockets this afternoon to start round 2 of their series, and that place will be buzzing in just a few hours. 3:30 tip-off. Let's welcome in Allie LaForce. Splash Brothers are both listed as questionable with ankle sprains. What's the update with them?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, yesterday we talked to Steve Kerr, and he said both of them came into the facility to get work done, but weren't able to go through a full practice necessarily. He did say Klay Thompson's sprain was more severe than he initially thought, but he had not talked to the team doctor yet at that point. And so he was yesterday when we talked to him waiting to hear, and they are listed as questionable for today's game. So we'll get over to the arena early and, see what their warm-ups look like. And I'll make sure to get on Twitter and give everybody an update on that. But so far we just know Clay's was more severe, and they're both questionable.
The Warriors just knocked off Doc Rivers and the Clippers. Doc's son, Austin, who plays for the Rockets now, spoke to his dad for some insight in the series. What did Austin say about their conversation?
Yeah, it was really fun talking to him because I said, did your dad give you a hard time that you guys flew to San Francisco early to get some extra practices in, assuming the Warriors were going to beat the Clippers? And he said, you know what, surprisingly he didn't. I thought he would, but he said after speaking with him, it turns out the Clippers would have done this exact same thing if they were in the Rockets' position. And Steve Kerr yesterday, when we spoke with him, said, I'm pretty sure every team in the NBA would have done the exact same thing. So it was less of a sign of disrespect around the league, and it was more smart based on the 12:30 local game that we're going to be seeing here today in San Francisco, and for the team to be able to get some rest, after playing a tough series against Utah. Seemed like the smartest basketball move to make. But I did ask Austin, too, is your dad giving you any tips on, playing against a team that he just faced off against? And he said, not really any tips because we've seen this Warriors team so many times throughout the last 2 years. And he did say the one benefit of the Clippers being done, though, is he expects his dad to come to some games. And I'm sure the two will be talking strategy after those matchups. I think he probably has to do his exit interviews and meetings and all of those things. But he will most likely be at games 3 and 4 in Houston watching his son play. Also, Austin Rivers, now listed as questionable. He's dealing with an illness. I talked to him yesterday, and he looked fine. I don't know if he caught a stomach bug or the flu, or it's not confirmed yet, but I am talking to the Rockets media staff, and they will confirm with me as soon as they know what's causing him not to feel 100% this morning.
A lot of players with some bumps and bruises and now some illnesses as well. Draymond Green, healthy, recorded a triple-double with 4 blocks in that closeout game against the Clippers. Now, Draymond also said back in March that the Warriors, quote, don't need to be juiced up from them talking. We beat them in last year's conference finals, end quote, and talking about the Rockets. Do you get that sense that the Warriors still feel the same way about Houston heading into today's game?
I think both teams are really confident heading into today's game and in different ways. Golden State having eliminated them from the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years, trying to make it 4 out of the last 5. They have that on their side, and a lineup full of all-stars that are just unstoppable, Kevin Durant being one of them. But for Houston, they've had this attitude all year, and you could feel it yesterday, of just being really steady, understanding that this window is a small one and a very important one. Also understanding that they were the best team in basketball to play against the Warriors this season, winning 3 out of their 4 matchups against them. Now, regular season is not the same as the playoffs. We are aware of that. But their confidence that they match up well against them is heard around the team. I think they know to beat Golden State, you have to score points with them. And if there's one team that's not afraid to shoot the basketball, it's Houston. So they're not trying to stop Golden State. They know how great they are, but what they're trying to do is match them point for point. And they're feeling pretty confident about it, I have to say. Eric Gordon in the starting lineup, they feel like their starting lineup stronger than last year, and their bench is deeper. And so while the teams are different, and you could argue defensively they're worse, they like the unit that they have going into this matchup.
Alan LaForce, thank you for spending some early time with us today before this 3:30 game. We appreciate you.
Anytime. Enjoy the game.
So Kevin Durant scored 50 in the closeout game against the Clippers, and Damian Lillard used this instant classic shot to close out KD's former team. We'll go all access with Dame Dollar next on GameTime Live.